Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 215 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about some time-saving tools and tips that will help you to get more marketing done. One thing that I'm constantly hearing is that we are so busy in our practice. And what happens when you get busy? Same thing that happens with me. When I get busy, I start to say, well, do I really need that content? Do I really need these additional marketing things in place for my business? The answer is yes. Growth comes when you do things that are important and not urgent, right? You have the four things in your business. You have not important, not urgent. It's like the stuff that's time wasting. You have important and urgent. Like, let's say a patient comes in and it's an emergency and they need you to get working on them right away. Definitely important and it's urgent. But the things that help you to grow your business are the important, not urgent stuff. So stuff that helps you to create systems that market your business better. And that's really what we're going to be talking today. How do you maximize these types of activities that are going to help you create long-term growth for your business? And so I just think that it's really, really important to be working as efficiently and effectively as possible. And the tools and tips that we're going to talk about today are going to help you to do that so that you're not overwhelmed, because I know that you have a lot on your plate. So before we begin, I want to mention a couple things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. And then if you ever have any questions, comments, you need help with anything, a great place to go is the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, where you can request to join. We're currently in a 10-week workshop where you can learn about ads, creating ads. It's the paid ads workshop, and it's completely free. So check it out. It's a really good resource. I'm super proud of it because I think the content is fantastic. I also want to mention that this episode is being sponsored by two websites by Brad Haven. We have usedvetequipment.com and newvetequipment.com. For over 8 years now, usedvetequipment.com has been helping vets buy and sell used equipment. You can save money when you buy used veterinary equipment. Everything from cages, kennels, pumps, x-ray equipment, lasers, ultrasounds, dental equipment, surgery equipment, lab equipment from Axis, IDEX, and Heska, tables, tubs, and sinks. What do you have to sell? At usedvetequipment.com, they bring the buyer and seller together. All right, and if you're also looking for new veterinary equipment with amazing warranties, check out newvetequipment.com, where they're going to show you the price up front. You can get everything from digital x-ray equipment, dental x-ray equipment, ultrasound equipment, LED surgery lighting, surgery tables, full-size autoclaves. When you go to newvetequipment.com, you'll clearly see the price on every item for sale, and you'll also be able to check out the warranty so that you buy without regret. At newvetequipment.com, they show you the prices and give you a great warranty. All right, so let's jump into today's episode. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is both a strategy and a tool. So one thing that I think is really important is just sitting down and batching out your work. Whether it's creative work, you're creating posts or content, I think just being intentional and scheduling out time, even if it's just a few minutes, to get things scheduled out. So if you're looking for a scheduling tool for social posts or content out there, I'm going to give you two tools right now. One is Hootsuite. Hootsuite works great, and there's a free version of it that works really well, in my opinion. And so if you want something that's paid and with more features, the thing that I would suggest is probably Agorapulse or Planoly. If you do a lot of Instagram, I think Planoly is the best because it has really good Instagram integration. If you're looking for something that's a really solid marketing system, Agorapulse is my suggestion for that because it integrates with Messenger. It lets you handle everything from one dashboard. You don't have to log into social channels and you won't get distracted. And that's what I like about these scheduling platforms, because when I get on social, it's made and invented so that it can distract you and keep you engaged and keep you using the platform. And so it's just really important, especially if you have employees who are going to be paid to get on and use these platforms, making sure that they are actively, scheduling things out. And it's really, really helpful. So batching it and making sure that it gets done, I'd say just at least once a week would be really good. And then also just having a one specific place that you put all your pictures that you can then access later. The more organized you can be with your marketing, as far as you know exactly where everything is, that you don't have to look for it, it will save you so much time. So whether you have a Google Photos account or you have a Google an iCloud account that takes your iPhone pictures and puts them in a central location, I think that this is something that can be really, really helpful. Having a Google Photos account, especially if you have a device for the practice, right? Maybe you have an iPad or maybe you have an iPhone. If you have that linked to a Google Photos account and you just logged in with like your clinic your clinic email that you use for your Google My Business or things like that, you'll be able to access that on a desktop computer without having to transfer those photos. So it'll automatically upload into your Google Photos account, and then you'll have access to everything. You can use that and pull from it without doing any transferring at all. And so that's a big time saver too. And so I think that is something that's really, really helpful. The other tool, and this depends on how your content strategy is, if you're constantly making new content and you don't reuse any of your old content, then those tools that I mentioned, Hootsuite, Agorapulse, Planoly, things like that are very helpful. But if you create content kind of like the way that I do, where I record podcast episodes and they have a really long lifespan, they're kind of like evergreen. I mean, there's obviously some episodes that are not as relevant today as they were, but a lot of them still are. And so the way that I want to distribute my content is to use my content as a library and have them continually posted out there and continually used. So I use a tool called Meet Edgar, and what it does is it lets me fill up a library of content, and then it'll automatically go out and schedule and post these pieces across all my social channels. And so if you have a content library, and I really suggest that that's something that you start doing, and especially with having offers and promotions and things like that you're running on a pretty regular basis. If you have anything like that, I think it makes a lot of sense to use a tool like Meet Edgar so that it's continually posted and reposted and reused. And it helps you to get a lot more mileage out of your content. So I think that beyond that, the next thing is a lot of times that's difficult is what should I create content about, or what should I write about, or what should we create a video or post about? And for that, I think one of the easiest ways to be effective in marketing and also help out your clients and provide value for them is by answering questions that they ask all the time. So along with all of the cute puppy pictures and the engaging posts that you create, if you're looking for content that's going to have a longer lifespan as far as being able to be reused in the future over and over again, go through your common questions that you have. And if you're in dental month, for example, like we are right now, what are the questions that you get about dentals all the time, right? So is anesthesia actually necessary for your dog's dentals? Or why do we require blood labs for dentals? Then you can reuse these things very, very often. Now, a tool that I use for a lot of my clients is that I will put up, usually the content that I'm creating will be pointing or be relevant to a specific offer, right? So like, for example, let's just say I had a course that was for Facebook ads, and I was creating content around Facebook ads, and I was going to then sell a course at some point. Well, it's called a content silo that I have, which is just a spreadsheet with all of the pieces of content that I've created, and it shows the relevant offer that it's related to. So when I have, like, what should we post, or is there anything that we could use to promote this thing that we have coming up? Now that we have our content labeled and we have what offer it's relevant to, or maybe it's relevant to multiple offers, we can then use that content and go back and not have to dig it out and figure out where it is. But we have a link to the content, the name of the content, naming convention for it, and we also have the offer that is relevant to that piece of content. With the content that you're creating, hopefully it's going to be able to point to a specific offer or service that you're looking to promote in your practice. And obviously not everything has to do that, but the more that you can use your content to promote specific offers, the better you're going to be at creating return on investment with your marketing, because it's going to have something that you can then sell and measure against your marketing efforts. So remember, whenever we're doing marketing, if we are not selling something or we're not bringing clients in the door, there is not a measurable ROI on that marketing activity. We always have to have a way to generate revenue to produce the return on investment. So that is really, really helpful. The next thing that is just really big time saver that's really simple is naming conventions for everything. Whether that's blog posts or emails that you write, or the way that you name your URLs, the way that you name your pictures, however, anything that you are producing or putting out, the more organized you can be in how you name it and how everybody in your practice names things will be really helpful, because it just gives you a consistent way to actively access what you have. So put everything in one place. The thing that I use all the time is Google Drive, so that if I need to find something, I know that if it's an email that I've written, if it's a picture I've created, if it is a ad image that I've created, if it's an ad resource that a client has provided, or a logo or anything like that, I know exactly how I can find it. And then I also know the naming conventions that I use so that I can search for it really quick, right? So going into that search bar within Google Drive and being able to type in like extractions webinar, and then more conventions like that, and it'll pull up all the relevant things so I can find exactly what I'm looking for without having to spend an hour of trying to find it in certain computers or things like that. So having everything in a central location that you can access quickly and know exactly how to access it is really, really helpful. Beyond that, I think a time-saving thing too is your naming conventions for things like UTM codes and how you're going to be sending traffic to your website. So then if you're trying to figure out, is this marketing that I'm doing, is it successful? If you're able to know how you're sending traffic to your website. And so UTM codes, for those of you who are not familiar, they're really cool. So what it is it's a little string of code that follows your URL. And all it does is tells Google Analytics, this traffic comes from paid advertising, or this traffic comes from organic social advertising. And that way, when you're looking through your content, you don't have to be clicking down and drilling down to find out exactly what's going on, if that makes sense. So you're able to quickly identify the traffic sources that are working best, and you're able to quickly sift through results and make decisions based on what's working and what's not. And I think being effective in terms of knowing all of these things is really helpful. Now, beyond that, if you want to be able to view your analytics quickly and easily, not have to pull reports, because that takes time, and for that reason, think about the last time you were in Google Analytics. It was probably months or years ago. And so you have all of this great data, but you're not able to get it because you're not pulling it quickly. So the thing that is really helpful in terms of time saving and being effective in your marketing is actually taking all of that data and putting it into a dashboard so that you can just click a link, go to the dashboard, and see what's happening without having to pull reports. And if you set that up one time, it will be good to go. So those are my biggest general time-saving tips and tricks that I think really, really help with your marketing, especially if you're doing paid ads or you're putting time and effort and energy into doing social posts and creating content. These are really, really helpful. If you have any other ideas or questions or anything, head on over to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group. That's the best place to get access to all of the stuff that we do. And I really appreciate you. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Have a great day, and I'll see you on next week's episode.